This is a 2024 Tesla Model Y, and before I clean it today, because it is rather muddy, I thought I'd just make this quick video about the importance of mud flaps and how effective they are on a Model Y, because mine is rather dirty today and we can see if the mud flaps have worked. So Teslas were known for weak paint, and a weak area was along the sills, and on the Model 3 paint tends to peel and get chipped off along the wing and along the sills, but they address that with the Model Y because all the critical areas are all cladded in plastic now, so that issue no longer exists on the Model Y. But from the factory you do get this PPF section here protecting the back of the rear doors, because stones and rubbish gets thrown up from the road and does tend to chip the paint here. So this bit of PPF is now fitted as standard, but I fitted PPF along the bottom of the doors as well to add some additional protection. And you also now get these mud flaps as standard from the factory, but only on the front. And on the rear I have fitted these mud flaps from Basenor. I've done a separate video on those. If you want to find out more about those, I'll put a link at the top of the screen. And these were the ones for the front, but I haven't bothered fitting those because this has got the factory mud flaps, and actually the factory ones do protrude lower than these Basenor ones. So for now I've left the factory ones on, but these do hit speed bumps, but as you can see they're quite flexible. But if you've got a Model Y and you hear a rubbing noise when you go over speed bumps, a lot of people seem to think it's the battery pack, because I've seen comments on the groups and things on social media, but it's actually just these mud flaps rubbing. So as you can see, my car's quite dirty. I haven't washed this for about 2 weeks. It's March now, and I'm mainly driving on rural B roads, and obviously this side of the car then is driving on the edge of the road and in the potholes and in the dirt. But you can see the rear mud flap has done a very good job. Look at all the amount of mud in that wheel arch, and collected by the bottom of the mud flap there in particular. And the rear bumper is pretty clean, so that mud flap has done a very good job. And you can see the lower half of that rear bumper is pretty clean considering. So if we look at the front wheel arch, you can see there's lots of mud in there and a lot of mud on that mud flap, so clearly the factory one has done a very good job as well, but there's still quite a bit sprayed up along the sills and the lower part of the doors. And as you can see just there's quite a bit of dirt on the bottoms of the sills. So the mud flaps are clearly working, but if you didn't have them it would be a mess, and there would be a high chance that you would have stone chips and things along the bottom of the doors. And also there's quite a bit of mud here at the bottom of the sills, but I would imagine that's from the rear wheel hitting puddles, and that's the water spraying forward, as well as most of it obviously is going to be going backwards as well. It is much cleaner on the driver's side, as you would expect, because the wheels aren't in the dirt quite so much on this side. So my advice is, if you haven't got mud flaps on your car and you want to look after it, then you might as well fit them. They're very easy to fit and they're pretty cheap. Particularly if you haven't got mud flaps at the front, then they are more important than the rear mud flaps. So yeah, I think that'll do. I thought this video might help someone if they're thinking about mud flaps and wondering if they have a benefit. Oh, and if you want to know about the wheel trims I've got fitted on this car, they are Basenor ones as well. I've done a video on those on the channel as well, which I'll link at the top of the screen. So, a bit of a specialist video this one. I'm not sure if anyone will find it useful or interesting, but I thought I'll make it before I wash the car. If you have found it useful, please do click the thumbs up as always, that really does help. Do subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more about Tesla Model Y, I'll put a link to a playlist in the video description where you can see other videos I've made about this car, and I'll see you on the next one.